doesn't take a scientist to figure out that cruelty is a must in the assassination business. If you're killing people left and right, there is no way you have a soft heart or a mellow personality, because even if you take the horrendous ways the assassins sometimes kill people out of the equation, taking a life itself would unquestionably require a man to have an insane capacity for violence. But then again, that's the name of the game, and we see our favorite hooded murderers take lives in some of the most terrifying ways, which if you put in perspective, is sure to give you nightmares. Gunshots to the head, arrows through eye sockets, blades piercing people's faces, stabbing a man on the ground with the full force of their bodies. There isn't much the assassins wouldn't do to finish the task at hand and take as many lives as needed to do just that. And since we're talking purely about the cruelty part, the demigods are surely included. Even though we see outright superpowers and magical stuff with them, the on-screen violence could surely be quantified. So yeah, just to make it clear, we're listing the assassins based on the level of violence we see with their assassination styles, not the cruelest actions they perform, so expect to see that in a completely different list. Before we get on with the list, if you like the video, make sure you hit the like button and pierce your hidden blade through the subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, support a brother from the creed. And now let's begin. Number 10, Altair. The assassin amongst assassins. The one man who truly embodied the idea of killing people silently rather than getting into full-blown combat and going for a public execution. He does get cruel when necessary, but more often than not, we see subtlety in the killing style of Altair. Well, besides the one fact that stands true is that the assassins were always supposed to be stealthy, like shadows, and despite combat being a major aspect of these games in recent times, it is undeniable that stealth was and always will be the most important part of being an assassin. Though despite being last on the list, it isn't necessarily a bad thing, maybe not at all. Next, number 9, Arno Dorian. The man can get cruel, no two ways about it, but Arno, like Altair, is one of the best pure assassins in the game. We see him kill swiftly without the target feeling pain or even realizing that they're dead already. But when engaged into combat, Arno can do some real damage and is a monster with a sword. But more often than not, we see Arno using the phantom blade to eliminate targets silently, or using the bows to take them out from a distance where it's still extremely stealthy and sneaky. And his combat style too isn't needlessly violent. The man, as I said, is one of the best pure assassins. Next, number 8, Evie Frye. The woman is terrifying. We see her breaking hands and legs as if it's made of plastic, and her fighting style is pretty brutal in its own right. But Evie too tends to rely heavily on stealth, which again is the whole point, to be honest. Evie isn't a stranger to absolute brutality, but she inherently is a silent killer, which makes her fighting style to be more of a meticulous one and less of an outright street brawl kinds. And yet we see her breaking bones, dislocating joints, stabbing people through their skulls, and she looks all the more beautiful while doing all that. I love you, Evie! Next, number 7, Shay Cormac / Edward Kenway. Shocked to see Shay and Edward this low? Well, as I said before, we are only looking at the cruelty in their assassination style, not the most inhumane actions they ever performed. So as far as the brutality in their assassination style goes, Shay and Edward aren't the ones to kill with a lot of bloodshed. They incorporate nearly identical fighting styles, so putting them on the same spot only makes sense. We see that when engaged in combat, they can be pretty brutal, but trust me, the other assassins on the list are on another level. Plus the fact that they use stealth weapons like a grenade launcher / blow darts to paralyze and then take out their enemies shows us how they are almost merciful. Almost. Although we see them shooting people with swivel guns, which would be terribly painful, and using rope darts to outright hang people, these two are still more compassionate than others, I guarantee that. Next, number 6, Bayek of Siwa. This man is a brutal son of a bitch. But being the founder of the Hidden Ones, we see him incorporate a more covert style of assassination over time. But he still is bloody violent. From beating people to a pulp with a blunt, to stabbing them enough times to make them minced meat. Bayek can really get vicious at times, and yet he lands on the 6th spot. Well, you'll see why when we get higher on the list. But once again, I'd like to mention that brutality isn't the true assassin style, so it's really a bittersweet thing to be at the bottom or at the top of this particular list. Next, number 5, Evie Frye. This man is an outright brawler who enjoys the idea of violence. Give him a kukri or a cane sword and he'll return with enough dead bodies to fill out the biggest graveyards. And we see his love for violence reflect in his fighting style, stabbing people through their throats, skulls, arms, legs, basically any body part that he can penetrate his kukri through. And he can be pretty stealthy. I mean, he does have the skill, but this man is inherently a brawling brute. Despite the fact that he's number 5, he is one of the most violent for sure. Next, number 4, Ezio Auditore. Violence was never a problem for Ezio. We see him taking out his targets like a shadow, and at the same time going on kill streaks that are absolutely mental. I was pretty confused where to put Ezio on the list in the beginning, but once I saw this, I I knew that this man is as violent as they come. 2 bloody blades through a man's face? That's the stuff of nightmares. Not just that, we see Ezio literally hammering people's skulls in, pulling their jaws out with his hook blade, stabbing people upwards from their throats to their brains, and outright scaring enemies into running away. Damn, was he merciless or what? Next, number 3, Kassandra. As barbaric as they come, Kassandra kills with malintent. Even her stealth screams bloodlust. I mean, look at that. Strike to the kidneys, blade to the solar plexus, which would probably have killed the guy already, but for good measure she breaks his neck anyway. That is just brutal, and we witness this all the time. Never once is it a simple stab. Every single time she kills with the blade, it goes right through the enemy's throat with an additional move that breaks the neck or legs or something. And if the stealth is like that, you can imagine how diabolical the combat would be. Unrelenting strikes to the enemies that's as swift as it is unholy. Kassandra's bloodlust is scary. Next, number 2, Kenway. I know this will sound kind of weird or even stupid, but I'd much rather be killed by any other assassin than Connor, especially Connor with a tomahawk. Because a 6'2", 200+ pound angry beast wielding a weapon that could take my head right off, I feel that's the scariest sight to witness. And we see his brutality all too well in Assassin's Creed 3. There is no level of violence Connor will not resort to just to get the job done. His terrifying tomahawk separating limbs, cracking skulls, slashing throats, and despite his stealth techniques being rather good, Connor is engaged hand to hand. That's when we see his true brutal side come through. Plus he's built like a tank, so the intimidation factor is through the roof. Well, Connor is a bloody beast. And now number 1, Eivor. Easily the most violent amongst the Assassin's Creed protagonists. From literally stomping people's skulls in to taking their heads right off with his axe. Eivor is quite simply a killing machine. You know, he's one of those people that'll do anything it takes to get the job done, no matter how barbaric or savage it may be. That's Eivor in a nutshell. I mean, his ferocity is next level. Even the weapons he carries are just so big and frightening. It could kill a person even if they hold it wrong. I could almost imagine Eivor getting into a killing frenzy where he's pounding people with his feet long after they are dead. Plus, he's no assassin, he's just a Viking brute. So clearly, Eivor doesn't give a crap about stealth or quick kills. He wants to kill brutally and send a message while doing so. That's why he tops the list without any bloody doubts. And if there are any, just check this out. With that, we reach the end of the video, guys. Tell me down in the comment section below who you think is the most violent amongst the assassins or the protagonists. And don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. That's it for today. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned. It's your boy VZX signing out.